Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today I am bringing you a bumper book haul. I think I've got around 25 books to talk to you guys about today, which isn't as bad as it sounds. Because some of these books I've already read, quite a few of them are really quite short. Third of all, I had my birthday recently and I have some very kind and generous friends. And fourth of all, I don't need to justify my consumer and buying habits to anyone. I'm gonna start with the fiction for grown-ups, beginning with After the Silence by Louise O'Neill. This is one of the ones that I've already read and I will leave my wrap-up where I spoke about this book linked in the cards and in the description. But Louise O'Neill is one of my favourite writers. In fact, I would go as far as to say she is my favourite writer. This is her first venture into the thriller genre, and to give it a really quick summary, if you do want to hear more of my thoughts, as I said, links will be above and below. This book explores the unsolved murder of a young woman many years previously on quite an isolated island off the coast of Cork. Really what this book is about is less of a kind of page-turning thrilling book and more of an examination of domestic abuse. I loved it, one of my favourite books of the year. A book which I'm currently reading, which I think could become one of my favourite books of the year, is Ghost by Dolly Alderton. This is about a young woman living her life in London, but kind of somewhat focused on her romantic relationships and the fact that like a lot of her friends have started to settle down, some of them have started to leave London. In this book she meets a man that she thinks is incredible until he ghosts her, and it's also about the feeling of her feeling ghosted by a lot of her friends who are moving away. Her father also has dementia and she's dealing with that. So it's about lots of different kinds of ghosts. Really enjoying this one so far. Another book which I think could become a favourite is Love in Colour by Bolu Babalola. This was very kindly sent to me by Aoife. I'll leave her channel linked down below. These are, I believe, love stories but also mythology retellings. Everyone I know who has read this book has absolutely adored it, so I think I will as well. Okay, another book that I think could become an absolute favourite is Lustre by Raven Lalani. This is another one that I've heard nothing but positive thoughts on. This is another book that is about a young woman trying to kind of find her place in the world in terms of careers and her friendships and her relationships. In this book we follow her becoming involved with a much older white man who is married, who has an adopted black daughter, and we follow our main character becoming involved in this family and also grappling with the racism that she experiences in her job. I think this is going to be a really quick read as well. I'm really looking forward to it. Next I have two additions to my classics collection, starting with Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This is another one that was very kindly gifted to me for my birthday by the wonderful Shannon over at 155 Books. As I said, links down below. I'm really keen to read Little Women because I saw the film last year and I thought it was absolutely incredible. I'm sure you all know the kind of brief overview of Little Women. It is about the four March sisters who are quite different. I feel like a bit of an Amy. But yeah, I loved the film and I am intrigued to see how different the book is because I do think they are quite different. I also have Joseph Andrews by Henry Fielding. That's very confusing, they're both names. I'm gonna level with you guys. I've told you before, my collection of the Penguin English Libraries, while I do intend to read them all at some point, they are mainly vanity purchases. Like there are some, like Little Women, where I'm like, yes, I will definitely read this. But then there are these ones where I'm like, I'll get to it. I don't really know what it's about. It's set in the 1800s, that's all I can tell you. This month I did also get a copy of Shuggie Bain by Douglas Stewart, which is the latest winner of the Booker Prize. There was a lot of excitement at my place of work, or now my former place of work, when this won, because we published it. This is about a young man in Scotland who is gay, and it's about his experiences of being gay in Scotland in a really working class community. It is about how Margaret Thatcher's time as Prime Minister really impacted those working class communities. It is about his relationship with his mother who has problems with alcoholism, and this was sent out to me from work in a lovely little care package that had some lovely salt and vinegar crisps in it. It had some whiskey in it. There was a non-alcoholic option, but I opted for the alcoholic option so I could re-gift it. Very excitingly, some Tunnocks tea cakes. The way to my heart is Tunnocks tea cakes, and of course we also had the book, but my mother has stolen it from me, which I'm very pleased about because my mum doesn't read at all, but for some reason she was drawn to Shuggie, which is, you know, I'm very excited about that, but it means she has stolen my book. Let's do some Christmas books. This is The 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayless, which is a women's contemporary fiction novel all about a woman who, in the lead up to Christmas, goes on 12 dates. That's all I needed to know about this book to know that I wanted to read it. I also have 4 of Carol Ann Duffy's little Christmas poetry collections. I think I have all of them now. So we have Mrs. Scrooge, we have Another Night Before Christmas, we have The Wren Boys, and finally we have Wenceslas. I have always struggled to say Wenceslas. I don't even know if I'm saying it properly now. But yeah, these are 4 little Christmas poems from Carol Ann Duffy, who is one of my favourite poets ever, and I will be reading these on Christmas Day. Let's do some non-fiction now. I have Girl by Kenya Hunt. This is a proof copy that was very kindly sent to me by HQ. Kenya Hunt is a journalist who I have followed and admired for quite some time now, so I was really excited to see that she was bringing out a collection of essays. These are all about black womanhood, and she also has contributions from some other people as well, including Candice Carty-Williams included in this book. I think it's kind of in the vein of like Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay, so I'm really excited to read this one, and I love this proof as well. I think it's gorgeous. I also have It's Not About The Burqa, which is an anthology of essays from lots of different Muslim women, and it is edited by Maryam Khan. This is one that I've heard nothing but fantastic things about. I think it's one that's really important to read, so very keen to get to this one soon. I also have Black and British by David Olusoga. This is the children's version of one of David's previous books that is all about the history of Britain. It's about empire, it is about racism in Britain. I think this is one that I'm going to fly through really quickly. I was really interested to see how that adult history book was adapted for a younger audience. I think this is one that I will probably read and then pass on to a younger reader, because I think it's really important for as many people as possible to have access to this information. I also have Quite by Claudia Winkleman. I'm a really big fan of Claudia Winkleman. I didn't really know who she was until she started presenting Strictly, but since then I've been obsessed with her. I think she's so cool. I think she's so unapologetically herself. I want to say this is an essay collection from her, but I think it's more of like a musing of thoughts. You know, it's a collection of her thoughts on lots of different topics, and I think her sense of humor is really going to shine through this book, so I think I'm really going to love it. I also have Sex and Punishment by Eric Berkowitz. This is a book that I've had my eye on for such a long time, and it is quite a chunky history book, all about the history of sex, but specifically things that were associated with judgment or shame, things that were unlawful or forbidden. This is such a chunky history book. I think it's probably the biggest history book I've ever owned, but it is a topic that I'm really interested in. Speaking of which, I have two books that were very kindly sent to me by Shar. Again, links in the description. I was so excited when these arrived, which you can see for yourself if you've watched my reading 5 books about vaginas reading vlog. Again, links in the cards and below. But for my birthday, Shar very kindly sent me these two books, the first of which is Getting Off by Erica Garza. This one I am so excited to read. It is about one woman's journey through sex and porn addiction, and I think that's something that we tend to associate with men much more than we do with women, but of course it can affect women, and I think this is going to be a really interesting thing to read about. And I also have Hormonal by Eleanor Morgan, and I think this is specifically about how hormones are linked to mental health. I've read a lot of books about hormones and menstruation and those kind of things, but I think it will be really interesting to read a book that is very specifically about hormones and mental health. Victoria from the channel What Victoria Read really kindly arranged a Secret Santa in the lead up to Christmas, and I was blessed with 2 very fantastic books by the wonderful Jessica. I was so excited when these arrived. The first of those is On Connection by Kay Tempest. I don't fully know what this is about. I think it's just one long essay, or maybe it is broken down into sections. I don't know, but it's basically Kay's musings on human connection, on creativity, on relationships. I love their poetry, so I think I'm really gonna enjoy this. Anything that they write, I will read. I don't even need to know what it's about. Jessica also very kindly sent me A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichol. Thank you so much, Jessica. This is a middle grade book that I've heard absolutely fantastic things about. It's published by Knights of, who I think are an incredible children's publisher, and I don't know too much about the plot of this middle grade book. I think it features a character who is neurodiverse, and it's a lot about like courage and friendship. But yeah, very keen to dive into this one. I'm very confident that it's one I'm gonna really enjoy. A few more YA books here. We transitioned quite seamlessly into the fiction for younger readers. I have Guard Your Heart by Sue Diven. Again, this is one that I've already read and have reviewed, so I will leave that wrap up linked down below in the description. This is about the romance between 2 teenagers in Northern Ireland, one who is Republican and Catholic, who very much considers themselves Irish, and the other who considers herself British. Her father and her brother are both in the police. So these 2 teenagers have families and backgrounds that are very much on opposite sides of the Northern Irish conflict. It's an absolutely fantastic book. I would highly recommend it. I have Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I read Burn Our Bodies Down, which is Rory Power's second novel. I read that earlier this year and I really enjoyed it. This is a young adult horror thriller novel that is about survival and female friendship. I think this is one that I might save for Halloween. I know that's quite a while off, but let's be real, books sit on my TBR for a while. Penultimately, I have Rules for Being a Girl by Candice Bushnell and Katie Cotugno. This is about a teenage girl who realizes how much misogyny and sexism there is at her school, how many negative impacts the patriarchy has on her life as a teenager, teenage girl, the double standards that are applied to teenage girl. Very keen to get to this one. And finally, I have a poetry collection. I have Cannibal by Sophia Sinclair. This is her debut collection, which is all about race relations in America. It's about womanhood and otherness and exile. It is also inspired by William Shakespeare's The Tempest, which is one of my favourite Shakespeare plays. So I'm really intrigued to see how she has incorporated that into her contemporary poetry. And that is it. They are all of the books that I'm going to talk about today. I am going to struggle to hold all of these for a thumbnail, but I will try my best. As ever, all of the books that I've mentioned will be linked down below in the description if you want to find out more about them. If you've read any of these, do leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought of them. I hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you in my next video.